We've got to get going. Too much to do, too little time. Easy points available. Just need some answers. What did we talk about yesterday? Thank you, Xavier. It's called completing the square. Thank you, Xavier. Well, you can have points. You take the middle term, divide by 2 and square it. Yes. Say what, ma'am? Okay. Yeah, you think we don't have time to waste. We are trying to get you ready for the interim break. We got to get all of these done as quickly as possible. If you are tuning me out, it's going to be a bad time for you because what's happening on Monday?
Quiz.
Every group can have a point. There's a test and a quiz on Monday. If you're not here, I'm not going to type in the 0 until after Thanksgiving break for the quiz and the math workshop test. The test is on completing the square and the quadratic formula, which means we got to wrap on up completing the square and start talking about quadratic formula today. 2 days. We got to finish up quadratic formula tomorrow, and we're going to take a quiz on it on Monday. So we got to get going. But if you're not here, you can make it up after Thanksgiving. That's fine. It's just, will you still remember? That's your, whatever, your life choices. However, so while I don't think you'd be ready to take the completing the square or quadratic formula quiz early, if you're going to be absent Monday and Tuesday and you wanted to go ahead and take the math workshop test tomorrow during 0 period, that would work for me. It's mostly just factoring. You've done 1,000 factoring. You should have it down. So if you wanted to take the math workshop test early, you could tomorrow morning because you're not going to be here Monday and Tuesday. We aren't going to do new notes Monday and Tuesday, but again, we are going to take a math workshop test, a quiz. I'm going to have like a bonus thing they can do. And otherwise, I'm gonna really help those who are here to make sure we've got all the things done for completing the square and quadrant that we need to do. So, okay. There was something else I was gonna ask you. It'll come to me. Okay. Let's look at what we were doing yesterday. Were there any questions? There were 2 I asked you to look at last night. It was on the back side of page 21. I suggested you try number 7. And number 9. Someone tried number 7 and 9 and had an issue. Someone tried number 7 or 9 and had an issue. Now, you didn't try it, but you tried it and had an issue. Okay. I'm going to tell you the answers to 11, 8, and 10 in just a few minutes. Let's briefly go back over what we were doing yesterday. And then we're going to go over the 2 problems we skipped. Why did we skip 4 and 5 yesterday? Okay, before I get to the point, leading coefficient was not 1. On 4 it's 2. On 5 it's 3. The only problem we worked yesterday had a leading coefficient of 1. So that's one main thing we've got to go over today. Another main thing we've got to go over today is just making sure we got this down. So let's go back over it. We'll understand it, but we got to make sure we're all on the same page. When we complete the square, what we're doing is we're picking a number to add to both sides of the equation. And how do we decide what this mystery number is? We take that middle term, divide by 2, and square it. Every time.
Yep. Every time.
Huh? Yeah. So middle divided by 2 squared. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 squared is 25. That's why we picked that. Now, I don't know if I did a good job enough yesterday explaining this, but middle divided by 2 is always the number on the next line. 10 divided by 2, 5. 5 squared, 25. So middle divided by 2 is on the next line. But squared is the important mystery number. Middle divided by 2 squared is the important mystery number. So like on number 3, negative 8 divided by 2, that's negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. That's why we added 16 to both sides. Okay, are there any questions about the middle divided by 2 squared? Why was number 2 such a bummer yesterday? Yes, I'm going to give it to 4, and I'm also going to point to 2. The odd number of 13 meant that we started off our lives having fractions, and we had to keep up with fractions the whole time, and it was a pain in the rear. And then let's talk about the other number on the front page, number 6. Why, on number 6, did we end up using imaginary numbers? 2 and 5 get the point. There was a negative under the radical. We had a negative square root of 6, or a square root of negative 6. Let me rephrase that. A square root of negative 6. Anytime we have a negative under the radical, that's when we use I. Okay. So are there any questions about the form we did yesterday? Huh? I feel like that's what is that not what we were doing? Was that not a recap? Okay. Okay. I swear we're not changing much up on 4, if that makes it any better, Travis. So our issue on number 4, we're doing 4 and 5, and then I'm going to tell you the answers on the back page, and you also have a checkpoint. But if you think I'm not also talking about quadratic formulas today, even when you're talking when I'm talking, I still am. Okay, so our issue on 5 is the 2, right? We're mad at the 2 in front. Okay, well then let's take care of the 2. Let's divide everybody by 2. We're mad at the 2 in front, so literally anytime the leading coefficient is not a 1, divide everybody by that leading coefficient, and now all of a sudden we do have a 1 in front. Now it's annoying because all of our other terms are suddenly fractions, so it kind of reminds me of number 2, because bless our hearts, we're starting off our whole day in fraction land. But hey, that leading coefficient is now a 1, and we know what to do from there. So anytime the leading coefficient is not a 1, you have to divide everybody by it, and now sadly you're already in fraction land. We're going to move the 5 over 2 over. So I'm going to have x squared minus 7 over 2x, 1 lose a point, plus something, equals negative 5 over 2 plus something. All I did was move the 5 over 2 to the right-hand side and add my little space for whatever number I decide is going to help me complete my square. Okay, any questions about this line? Okay, well, from here, we're still going to do the same thing. We're still going to do middle divided by 2 squared. It's just annoying that the middle is negative 7 over 2. We're still going to do middle divided by 2 squared. It's just annoying because the middle is already a fraction. So, in my calculator, I say my middle is negative 7 over 2, so I'm going to press negative 7 divided by 2. I'm going to go ahead and press enter, just because I can, and I don't want to confuse myself. So that's my middle. I haven't done anything to it except press enter. I haven't divided by 2. I haven't squared them. I still need to do both those things. So I've got my middle. I divided by 2. I square them. And then I'm mad at that answer because it's a decimal. We don't want any decimals. So I press what? Every year can have a point. I press math frac. And my answer is 49 over 16. So the mystery number I'm adding to both sides is apparently 49 over 16. Okay, let me type it in a different way so maybe someone else will get it. It's not been quite there yet. But before I do that, let's talk about 49 over 16 is beautiful because 49 is perfect square, 16 is perfect square. Life's looking good. So that's a good sign. It's okay if that doesn't happen, but it is a nice sign when it does. You're like, I think I'm on the right track. Those are 2 perfect square numbers. Even though it's a fraction, at least it's perfect squares. Okay, so maybe you typed it in differently. It's okay if you did negative 7 divided by 2, and you immediately press frac. You're like, no, I want fractions to begin with. Divide that by 2, and then square it. It doesn't matter at which point you decide to press the frac button. As long as you divide by 2, square it, and press the frac button at some time, you're still going to get 49 over 16. Okay, well, when I just did middle divided by 2, I got negative 7 over 4. So my second line should say x minus 7 over 4. I can't see all my things. Let me zoom out. Okay, so again, middle divided by 2 gives you the number that goes down there. So just negative 7 over 2 divided by 2, which gave me negative 7 over 4, that goes down there. And then squaring it is how I get the mystery number to add to both sides, the 49 over 16. So middle divided by 2, negative 7 over 2 divided by 2, that's how I got that one. And then when I squared it, yes, that's how I got the mystery number that I need to add to both sides, the 49 over 16. Are there any questions about this? Okay, well on that right side, I sure would like to add 49 over 16 and negative 5 over 2 together, but I've got a bit of a problem. When I want to add those together, I can either get a common denominator of 16, which most people are like, I don't want to do that, which is fine. Your calculator is genius. The last number it knows for me is 49 over 16. So I can literally tell it to add negative 5 over 2 to my last answer. You don't have to press anything but the plus sign. It already knows your last answer. So if you'll press plus and then type in what you're wanting to add to it, the negative 5 over 2, it'll tell you some decimal, which is not great. So again, math frac, and we get our 9 over 16. But let's say, I don't know, Landon's done other math since then on his calculator screen. Let's say his calculator doesn't remember the 49 over 16. That's fine. Seriously? I know that in the past, we've talked about this fraction button. Let me zoom out again. I know in the past we talked about doing alpha y equals and then pressing that fraction button. And while that's great, that slows you down a lot. I don't ever use that button. If we're being completely 100% honest, I don't use that button. Instead, I put both my fractions in parentheses. So it's negative 5 over 2, so parentheses, negative 5 divided by 2, plus my other fraction is 49 over 16, so parentheses, 49 divided by 16. If your goal is to take pre-cal, cal, or higher math classes than this, go ahead and accept it. Putting fractions just in parentheses makes your life a little easier. And again, if you want a fraction for your final answer, you can math frac, but I still get 9 over 16. So it's really up to you. Your calculator is very smart. As long as you put in things correctly, it will give you the correct answer. Are there any questions about where the 9 over 16 came from? Why am I still excited about the 9 over 16? Yes, who said it first, so we're going to give it to him. I don't know how she spelled that out so fast. I guess she's psychic. But yeah, it's both perfect squares. Okay, so we're not done. We've still got to get x by himself. I know that we've done a lot of work on this problem. I understand completing the square is a pain in the rear. I never said it was my favorite. I just said it was something we have to learn how to do. I take the square root of both sides. I get x minus 7 over 4 equals, it's going to be plus or minus what over what? And Travis said it a second ago, so I'm going to get it to 2 and 5. Okay, I'm out of room. I'm going to have to do it over here. I need to add 7 over 4 to both sides, so I've got 7 over 4 plus or minus 3 over 4. And then from here, I've got 2 answers. I've got the 7 over 4 plus the 3 over 4, and the 7 over 4 minus the 3 over 4. And literally, since Caitlin now understands, I can put these in my calculator. For the first one, if she genuinely wants to put 7 over 4 plus 3 over 4 in her calculator will give her the right answer. I'm not going to do that though. It's not that big a deal. I know it's 10 over 4, and what does that reduce to? 1 gets the point. But again, if you fraction and know not going to happen, calculator can do it. It's got this. Okay, so we did our positive answer. We still got to do our negative answer. 7 over 4 minus 3 over 4. We get 4 over 4, which is just 1. Okay, but let's be honest. That problem took forever. Had a lot of steps, a lot of things to do in it. You start questioning your own sanity. Did I do this correctly? How can you check yourself?
Put it in the calculator or you graph.
Yes, and that's exactly what I'm doing now. Abigail, see the point. 2x squared minus 7x plus 5. I've typed in what our original problem was to begin with. I pressed graph. I probably need to zoom different. I have mine zoomed weird from earlier. Zoom standard. So we got our answers of 1 and 5 over 2. Well, I graphed the function. It looks like it crossed at 1 and 5 over 2. But I could still do the second calculate trick with the zeros and set my two bounds. Oh, one of my zeros is 1. Yay. That's what I got as well. Let's see about that second zero. Second calculate 0. Set my bound a little to the left. Bound a little to the right. Enter. Oh, x is 2.5. Excellent. Because 5 over 2 is 2.5. So I'm not crazy. The answers that I found by completing the square really are where my quadratic crosses the x-axis. But you can also see why I really need a fraction answer. Because I don't know if Drea doesn't stay in fraction land. 1, I don't know how she completes the square to begin with. And 2, I don't know that she didn't just do our old school second calculate and figure it all out that way to begin with either. So if you think it's okay on your paper to just put the 2 roots, it's not. Because I don't know whether or not, yes, you can check yourself with the graphing calculator. But we learned completing the square for a reason. You can't just bank that I'm going to be nice and give you the answers because you happen to know how to use a calculator. Okay, are there any questions about number 4? Okay, then let's go to number 5. What are we going to divide by on number 5? Thank you. So on number 5, if we divide everybody by 3, I've got x squared plus 10 thirds x minus 8 thirds equals 0. What do I do next? Thank you. Table 3, you can have a point. If I add 8 thirds to both sides. Yes, Caitlin, you're right too. He was just a little faster. So we're trying to figure out what this mystery number is.
I think I have it. Is it 25 over 9?
Yeah, you can have a point for that. That is divided by 2. She already had and squared it. Okay, so they both know parts of it. So if you take in your calculator and do 10 thirds divided by 2, you do get 5 over 3. And then when you square it, the mystery number that we're adding to both sides is actually 25 over 9. Don't worry, I'm going to show it as well. I'm just really impressed they both knew it. 5, if you didn't get a point for that, you can. Okay, so our middle was 10 over 3. I divided that by 2. I turned that into a fraction. That is the number I put it down here, yes. But to get that mystery number, we do middle divided by 2 squared. So I've still got to square it. I get 25 over 9. That's the mystery number I'm adding to both sides. Are there any questions about where the 5 over 3 or the 25 over 9, where they came from? Okay, well, I need to add on the right side. Say it again. 45. Yeah, 49 over 9. Okay, so I have 25 over 9. I need to add 8 thirds to it. So plus 8 divided by 3. I want the fraction. I get 49 over 9. Is there anyone who doesn't understand where the 49 over 9 came from? Now I'm super excited again because 49 is a perfect square, 9 is a perfect square. The life's looking pretty good. Okay, so life's looking pretty good. We got to this point. We still have to solve. If we take the square root of both sides, I'm going to x plus 5 thirds equals plus or minus 7 over 3. I heard it from 1 and 5. You can have a point.
I subtract 5/3 from both sides. I've got negative 5/3 plus or minus 7/3. 2/3, and what's the other one? Tell me. -4, but yeah, so 1 and 5 can have a point. Okay, so we've got to do the plus and minus. So we've got to do -5/3 plus 7/3, which is how we got the 2/3. We still got to do the minus. So -5/3/3 minus 7/3, and we get -12/3, which is -4. So -4 and 2/3 is correct. Again, if you are afraid you're going to mess up on the fractions, put them in your calculator. I can literally, in my calculator, -5/3 plus 7/3, enter, math frac. -5/3 minus 7/3, enter, math frac. And it will, you won't even have to press frac on that one, but you might in the future. So it's still going to give you the two answers. Just carefully. Your calculator doesn't have a plus or minus button. So you have to be smart enough to do the plus in the calculator, then do the minus in the calculator. But your calculator can still do all what I'm doing by hand for you. Are there any questions about this process? I know this is scary and a little bit rushed.
Yeah, I don't know any of this.
You do. You do the middle divided by 2 squared. That
When we
was
started
good.
getting to fractions like that, my head's going. I can't keep all that.
It was good. It was. You do the middle divided by 2. You get about halfway through, I can help you from there. Okay, flip to page 22 and back.
Like, that's too much for me.
Let's talk about the answers. So it's 27, 52. That's a lot of time. Now I get started. Okay, I'm going to tell you some more of the answers. So number 11, I didn't get to tell you that one yesterday. You have 2 options, and it's really just up to you as to how you like to list things. So on number 11, it can be -3 plus or minus square root of 15i over 2. Or on number 11, if you like to do 2 separate fractions, you don't like this giant fraction, I don't care. It can be -3 over 2 plus or minus square root of 15 over 2i. Either one is great. Are there any questions about this? Okay, then let's look at number 8. On number 8, your 2 options for answers are x equals 3 plus or minus square root of 33 over 4. Or again, if you like to be the 2 fraction person, you don't like this giant fraction, it can be 3 over 4 plus or minus the square root of 33 over 4. So again, you're going to work it out, but that's what you should get at the end. When you're done, that should be the end. Okay, and then number 10, my 2 answers that I get are 2 plus or minus square root of 10 over 3. But again, if you still just hate that giant fraction, and you want to do 2 tiny fractions, you could do 2/3 plus or minus square root of 10 over 3. Either answer is correct and great with me. But if we're being completely honest, and we were labeling our problems yesterday, easy, medium, hard, I think anytime the leading coefficient is not a 1, and you're asked to complete the square, since you start off in fraction land and have to stay there the whole stinking time, I think 8 and 10 are hards. And I think the 2 problems we worked today in our notes are hard. If we're doing easy, medium, hard, leading coefficient not 1 is a hard. Okay, are there any questions about this? Did I have time to give out the checkpoint yesterday at all? Okay, so what we're going to do, because I do love you and I do feel like you are overwhelmed, which is fine. I like that you're taking it seriously. That's good. So I'm going to give you time now to work on these 5 problems and time to work on the checkpoint. And we will do the whole shebang with the quadratic formula tomorrow with one promise. You gotta give me one thing there. Besides, obviously, all the other work. I need one more